Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. Now in this video we're going to talk about the best defensive units in terms of short form content in DBZ Dokkan Battle. Now it's going to be interesting to take on because I think there's a big difference between a unit that's amazing in short form content and a unit that is amazing in long form content. And I think honestly there's a huge difference between how those two units function, because for example if we were to take the Rose, right, he's a great defensive unit. He's a good defensive unit in short form content, medium length content as well. However, if you take him to Festival of Battles, he becomes a slight liability depending on your team build, right? So it's interesting when you compare that to Tech Broly, who is more of a liability in the first 2 turns, but give him 10 turns and I don't think there's a unit that can touch him. So it's very interesting to kind of differentiate the two, so I'm going to try my best. I think also as well, what I would like to mention before we go on, obviously most of the content recently has been short form, so you will see a lot of the units right now being short form orientated. And then finally, just before we begin, to recap, when we speak a tank, we speak about someone that can take a minimal amount of damage when being hit by a super. In terms of evasion tanks, those units rely on not being hit by supers. The key component is whether the unit is reliable enough in terms of evasion that you can warrant even if he gets hit. It's honestly a once in a lifetime opportunity, or very limited. Because of that, it is difficult to evaluate the key core component differences between the units, but we'll try our best here. So yeah, let's take a look. So firstly, we have obviously the Rose, as mentioned already. We definitely 100% also have the Blue Boys duo for sure. We then also have Omega Shenron, who is incredibly powerful in short form content. We then have AGL Gogeta, of course. Then we have on top of that the Golden Frieza, incredibly good. But we also have as well on top of that the other Golden Frieza, who we need to find here in this infinitely large amount of lists, this incredibly huge list that we have. Giant Ape Vegeta is definitely there. For mention, I also do want to bring the father-son duo, although they are more long form one, but I want to discuss them definitely. Then we are going to discuss the who else do we have here? Broly we can talk about for sure. He can be in there. And then we have, who else are we missing? Who else is a key defensive unit? I think this should just about cover most of it. Obviously Gogeta is a part of Goku. I guess we could put Gotenks there, but I won't put him there. Who am I looking for? I was looking for someone. Let's just see. Yes, Golden Frieza is who I'm looking for. No, it was after Broly. After Kale and Cleveland. Let's see. I want to mention him for like the SS4s, but we'll talk about them as a batch. And then I think, where's Frieza? He was before this. Definitely. There's that Frieza. Yeah, where's the LR Golden Frieza? I lost my mind. Was he before Kale and Cleveland? No, surely not. He was after Kale and Cleveland. He was after this Goku. after this Vegeta even. Let's see. This is always the one problem with these tier lists. I can never find the exact, there we go, perfect. I say that as I find them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, perfect, okay. So, firstly, let's talk about short form content. So what is short form content? Short form content is content that lasts less than 10 turns. Okay, that's my idea of short form content. I want to clarify that for people so that they know. That is what I register short form content as. So if it lasts less than 10 turns, that is what short form content is. Now, each of these units specializes in a certain way. I want to mention as well that there are some units that are still absolutely 100% excellent in certain ways. So for example, MUI Goku, meaning this guy stands the test of time. He, as long as he dodges, or dodges available, he's incredibly good. And he is amazing from that standpoint, as his dodge is always so reliable. Same with Tech Caulifla. She, if you have a Pure Saiyan and dodges up, can't be hit. So ergo, she's very good. And then we have Frieza, who I think honestly is very tanky. He's underrated, but his team's not there yet for him to be catered to. And I think that right now that's probably it, at least for short form content. I do think it differs in long form content. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But ultimately, I would say these guys are all probably the tankiest units. Beast Gohan is also still up there, dependent on the event, but he does have his own pseudo limitations. So yeah, Janemba is also very tanky, by the way, just as like a solid mention for that Janemba. Like he can be very tanky, especially early on. I'm going to honorably mention. So yeah, let's focus on the key core components. So I think firstly what's key is how long are they tanky for. So are they tanky for example the first 2 turns? Does their guard fall away? Does their this fall away? Does their that fall away? So when we talk about what falls away, I think immediately you look at tankiness, you push for example Broly kind of lower on the spectrum. I think you push Janemba lower on the spectrum. I think you push Frieza lower on the spectrum. And we'll talk about why Frieza falls down a little bit. Then if we're talking in terms of like really instant impact, so the boss comes out the gate, they're hitting like 5 mil. You know, very few units can take that. We're talking golden Friezas. Okay, they are probably the tankiest units in the game from the point of short form content. Then from there, things get very interesting depending on your team, depending on how you build things. So then Goku Rose is definitely up there. I think Agio Gogeta is probably there. I would say a Mega Shenron or even Tech Gogeta or Tech Vegeta probably is even there. And then I would say you could have even the Blue Boys there, and I'm going to mention this. So this is kind of my list, and I'll explain the reasoning now. So let's start at the top and work our way down. So Tech Golden Frieza is very tanky. The taunt initially is very powerful. You can use it whenever. It makes him very strong. And he has just a flat 70% damage reduction. His defense can get to very high levels. He is incredibly solid. Yes, he can still definitely take damage from... Ooh, that's who we forgot. See, I always know that there's a unit that I forget. So I just want to honorably mention these guys, but there is actually a unit that I forgot. Where is he now? Where's my boy? Where is he? I think he's up here. No. Oh, he came after these guys. If I just gone blind. Where's he? Where's he at? There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I think he's probably tankier. He's very conditional. I think he's up there. Okay, so yeah, so Tech Golden Frieza, you know, like I said, did flat 70% damage reduction, defensively incredibly sound, really, really strong. Then we have AGL Golden Frieza, starts out with 90% damage reduction, then 80%, then 70%. Scales really well. Does get caught out later on, but that's why we say short fights. Short fights, very tanky. Strength Rose, very, very good. He and Vegeta are very similar in design, so the guard all attacks is crucial, but also it's the key component of how the defense kicks in. So Vegeta, especially when you have SS4 Goku on the rotation, the full power Goku, can have like 70% damage reduction on top of the guard, which makes him very, very tanky. He also has that defense boost on hit. The same can be said for Goku Rose, so he functions really well, especially since he can function on Mega Shenron's team. Then we have AGL Gogeta. So why I place AGL Gogeta above Mega Shenron is because short form content wise, if we're talking less than 10 turns, AGL Gogeta does function a bit better there. On top of that as well, he has his nullification, which removes half of the issues in the game. Now, Mega Shenron also has that, and he is very strong, but he doesn't have a guard. So there's a few more situations where he can be caught up, but they're both very equivalent. In fact, maybe we would even do this. Super 17, very tanky. Conditional, super tanky. So conditional, yes, super duper tanky though. So incredibly strong tank, super powerful, very, very potent, very good, has great presence. Then we have the Strength Blue Boys, also very strong defensively, but more of a dodge or die type character, more so than anything else. Then we have Full Power Frieza, who is a great unit but needs time to build up, and he loses that defense after a little bit. His teams right now don't cater to him, but he can have up to 70% damage reduction, which I think a lot of people forget sometimes. Like, I think they forget how tanky this guy actually can be, which is so crucial for him. Then Broly, look, his drops away after time, but that initial turn he can't take damage, and then afterwards he is still very tanky for 3 or 4 turns. So very good still for short form content, lacking the damage to really have an impact. And then mentions for these 4. So you have Janemba, very, very good, really strong. Defensively for the first couple turns, obviously then it starts to fall away. Similar basically on a less effective level to AGL Golden Frieza. Then we have Trunks and Vegeta. Honestly very strong defensively, but tied to the first slot. They are technically more a scaler than a short form content unit. Like, they still do need to be hit. So if they get hit by like a 5 mil super right out the gate, you are going to take damage. Same with the Int Gogeta, like not really a first slot tank, but 100% a great tanky unit in the second and third slot. And then honorable mention to the 7th year LRs, who have guard and damage reduction of 77% in their first turn, and scale so quickly defensively that if they get a couple super attacks off, they're actually really strong defensively. Not maybe first slot tank in every event kind of strong, but I mean very, very, very effective and very, very, very good. So yeah, that is pretty much it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This kind of covers them, I think. Ultimately for me, like, you could mention so many units when it comes to best tanks. Like, Vegeta is a great tank. Hits by a super, dies. Can dodge supers, great. Dodge disabled, another great tank. And so there's lots of conditional requirements when it comes to really evaluating who is the best tank. Like I mentioned earlier, a dodge event, Goku, okay, chances are he may never get hit. Also, nowadays, with how some events are, gets tapped once, gonna die. So it's a difficult situation to truly evaluate, like, who's the best of the best of the best. But I think for me, if I look at these units that I have up there, these are the units I trust the most to tank a super in the first slot. There's tons of units like the Universe 6 Gals, there's Broly, there's all these units, if they build up or get the right build or get the right RNG, can work. But these units, more often than not, I'm happy to kind of just let sit there and do their thing. But that's it from me. Bye.